Hello, and welcome to Ice is Slippery, an unserious podcast about hockey brought to you by 1.5 hockey fans. My name is Kate, and I'm the hockey fan.
And my name is Fred. I am half a hockey fan.
Good evening, Fred. How are you?
Oh, good evening. Yes, good evening. How am I? You know, I've been better.
Yeah, this is our second time recording the podcast today.
Yeah.
We recorded it this afternoon, and we had some technical difficulties, and the previous recording vanished. So
it sure did. Mercury is in retrograde. I did look it up after I decided that the data recovery tools weren't going to help us.
Well, I appreciate you giving it your all, and I extra appreciate you sitting down and recording this with me again, because you're only half a hockey fan.
I am half a hockey fan. I'm a full technical computer guy.
You are, and if you couldn't restore the recording, then nobody could.
Nope, they sure couldn't. I did learn some things about data forensics, but anyway.
That's on our data forensics podcast.
Yeah, I'll get into that on there. But anyway, here we are.
Here we are.
Luckily, it was a quiet week and it was a short podcast, so...
Yeah, we definitely didn't go extra long talking about all of the things that happened.
Right, because not much happened.
Right, because there was not anything exciting, such as and including the firing of John Tortorella.
Oh, shoot, that was something.
That was a thing. We did talk about that, come to think of it.
All right, well, let's get into it again.
All right, let's talk about it again. So, yes, John Tortorella, former head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, was fired.
My guy.
Your guy, the guy who got you into hockey. I mean, I technically got you into hockey, but he was the guy who kind of got you to stick around a little bit more.
He pushed me over the edge into, being more involved, honestly.
Yeah, he probably was more knowledgeable about hockey than I was.
Probably.
Just a little bit, being a professional and whatnot.
I don't know. You've got some pretty good coaching advice.
It's true, I do.
And I've got some pretty good goaltending coaching advice.
Yes, you're a great goalie coach. It's true.
I am. Yep.
So I guess let's talk about the timeline.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So on Sunday, the Flyers lost to Chicago 7-4.
Yep.
On Tuesday, they lost again to the Maple Leafs 7-2. And that meant that they had lost 11 out of their previous 12 games.
Yeah.
So that wasn't really good.
The vibes were not great.
The vibes were terrible.
They were terrible.
The vibes were at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, the vibes have been off since the trade
deadline.
Yeah, since the trade deadline, they've been off, but they were real off.
They were plummeting.
Yeah.
It was not good. And after the Toronto game, Torts said to the media, when you're in this type of situation and you're losing all the time and there's nothing at the end of the tunnel for you, there's certainly going to be some frustration. But this falls on me. I'm not really interested in learning how to coach in this type of season where we're at right now, but I have to do a better job. So this falls on me, getting the team prepared to play the proper way until we get to the end.
Yeah.
And people didn't love that.
No, that didn't go over well.
It didn't go over great.
Nope.
I mean, as we know, Torts wasn't universally loved. Not everybody was on the Torts train like we were.
No, there's I don't know how many people are actually on the Torts train. I feel like it's not a full.
It was not a crowded train. It was very easy to find a seat.
Yeah, you could find a seat. Yeah.
It was great. You could really stretch out and take a nap if you wanted to.
Absolutely.
So people didn't like that. It really sounded to a lot of people like he had pretty much quit on the team and given up. I didn't really hear it that way. I think it just sounded to me like he was frustrated with where they were. They didn't really have any backup defense at that point. Kolosov is backup, so they've got like 3 goalies again. Things are confusing.
Yeah, I also... I don't know. I guess me and Torts have an understanding, and I know what he was going for. I think he could have workshopped it a little bit more. But yeah, it certainly didn't come across to the general public as something a coach of a team would say.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So I think you and I sort of in that moment were like, oh, I think at the end of the season, Torts is going to be done.
Yeah. I mean, we've been chatting about that, not on the podcast, but it's been pretty...
The writing has been on the wall.
There's been some writing, and since the trade deadline, and I think we both were of the opinion he probably doesn't make it through the summer. And maybe he ends up in management of the Fly, like somewhere in the organization or something, because that seemed like something that might happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think either of us were really holding out hope that Torts was getting another year.
And, it is what it is. And
Yeah.
that was fine. And a lot of people thought he was not the right coach for a rebuild at all. He was hired by the GM prior to Danny Briere,
Okay.
who also made some very bad decisions. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe just near the end, Danny Briere did not inherit a great starting point.
No, that's you can see it in his face every time.
No, he just looks like that. He just always looks like a sad Victorian child. No, it's the hair.
Yeah.
And the paleness.
Yeah, and the eyes.
And the eyes. Yeah. So a lot of people didn't think Torts was right for a rebuild. I happen to think he was great for the first phase of the rebuild because the players just really didn't have maybe the greatest foundation as a whole. Mm-hmm. And I think he did a really good job of putting that into place. But you also have to be able to have fun.
Yeah.
And I don't think Torts fundamentally knows how to do that.
Well, I think he knows how to have fun, but I think his type of fun isn't something that is fun for most people. He just wants to win, and he's having fun when he's winning, and he gets there through yelling and anger sometimes and frustration.
I feel like he just keeps the reins really tight, and he doesn't know how to let go. And sometimes you have to let go in order to really let loose,
right. And I feel like that was what he was saying. He's like, I don't know how to coach that way.
Right.
And I have to with this team, and I'm not interested in trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I was saying, and we'll talk about the Flyers later on. Their post-Torts era, at least.
The post-Torts era.
The post-Torts era.
That's the era we live in now.
But, the Flyers as a team have been feeling very repressed lately. They've been living with their strict religious father.
Yeah.
And now they're having their hot girl era.
Yes, exactly.
And they still have their morals and their values.
They do. And they still have their problems.
And they still have their problems for sure.
Right.
But they are feeling they've gone to college. They've moved out of their strict dad's house and they're letting their hair down.
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit. And I think that they needed to do that. It's just part of growing up.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know anything about any pre-Torts era or even the first year of his era, but it does sound like there was kind of a lack of structure and discipline within the organization and the locker room. And it sounds like he really kind of gave a foundation in his Torts way.
Yeah. I'm also kind of in that same boat. I really have only been following the Flyers a couple of years and was not super invested in all of that, but I haven't heard great things about things before.
Right.
And again, I don't think any of it was really on the team itself. I think it was just on sort of haphazard coaching and GMing.
Yeah.
And I think Torts, put the boat back on course.
Sure.
But okay, the boat's on course. People can now rest a little bit.
Yeah, can adapt and figure out our new way, right?
Exactly. So I am sad to be losing him, but I do think it is the right time.
Yeah.
And I also think that there is a lot more to the story.
Yeah, there certainly is, right? Because, Danny Gruyere came out.
No, Danny Briere.
No, Gruyere.
No, that's a cheese.
Oh, my bad. No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Danny Cheese.
He's the head cheese.
Yeah, he is. He's the big cheese.
He came out in that press conference and was like, no, it's not just that comment. He did, indicate that comment wasn't great.
He said that things have been up for a while and things have been sort of diverging. And then also in the last game that Torts coached, the Toronto game, Cam York made some sort of an error. I don't think we were watching that game because
we weren't. It was I think it was a turnover in front of the net or something that resulted in a goal.
Yes. And Torts ended up benching Cam York for the rest of the game. And everyone talked about how embarrassing it must have been. And, people don't like it when Torts does that.
They don't like him benching anybody.
No, it's like a shame-based coaching thing that they think is bad.
I agree.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be benching people either, especially if they make that much money.
Right. Yeah.
They're all adults making millions of dollars.
Yeah. Let them play.
Yeah. But Cam hasn't been the biggest Torts fan either, right?
I feel like he has been healthy scratched a few times this season, and he has said straight up, like, I don't know why I was, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
And Torts, in the past has been like, I don't like it when my players say stuff like that to the media. I want them to come push back to me.
Right.
So I think it was just, again, one of those sort of personality mismatch kind of things.
For sure. Which is very easy to mismatch personalities with the Torts.
Well, the interesting thing, though, was in the first post-Torts game when Brad Shaw, who was the defense coach, he has taken over as interim head coach. When Brad Shaw was coaching, Cam York was on the bench and he was dressed, but it became apparent after several minutes that he had not taken a shift.
Right.
And as more time went on and he kept not taking shifts, it became apparent he was not going to be playing in that game.
Yeah.
So he was an on the bench healthy scratch.
On the bench healthy scratch. Boosh and JJ were very confused.
They were flummoxed.
Yeah. They obviously were the ones like, haven't seen Cam. And then they were like, still haven't seen him. And then the second period, Cam's still on the bench. Third period, he's probably not playing today.
They were like, the defense is looking really tired because they're short a D-man because of the one D-man who hasn't been going in.
Right.
And I would like to point out that I said at the time, after the Toronto game, Cam York and John Tortorella got into it. And that is part of what led to the firing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I was on the breaking news.
Yep. You were right there. You were like doing the math lady meme over there.
It was all vibes. No facts, all vibes, which is pretty much my standard way of moving through life.
Yeah. And it would be odd for like Torts being fired and being like, make sure you keep Cam benched.
Right. Yeah. Because it was clear that something must have happened because, it was definitely not just like left over, like, Shaw being like, hey, buddy, sorry, but like Torts benched you. So I got to keep benching you.
Right.
Because I'm afraid. Like,
yeah.
It was clear something happened. And then that did get confirmed later that evening. And the next day, Shaw did confirm that York was benched intentionally for a discipline issue. And the reason he was dressed and on the bench was because you have to have 18 players dressed and they didn't have enough players to dress otherwise.
Right. They couldn't.
Otherwise, it was going to be Kolosov and they couldn't have 3 goalies out there.
Yeah. That's illegal, I guess, to have 3 goalies. They could have dressed him and made him a D-man. Probably not.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah,
though.
right. And then he wouldn't have played either.
I don't know. I still want like an oops all goalies game. So
that'd be fun.
It'd be great.
Yeah. But they can't so they had to have him there. And man, like his face during the entire game, like he was trying to keep a brave face on, but you could just see like something was up.
Yeah. He was not feeling the vibes.
No.
So, yep. He did not play that game, but he did after the game. I guess the next day at practice, he had media availability.
Yeah, exactly. It was. I think he was the only one with media availability.
Yeah.
For a practice. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the reporters were like, we need to talk to Cam.
And we're still not clear on what happened with him and Torts. Everyone has basically said there was an altercation or an issue.
Yeah.
I think altercation is the word that has been used.
Okay.
But there's no details on what that was. Was it verbal? Was it physical? Did somebody throw something? Did somebody say something bad? Who knows? Who knows?
So yeah, I hope that it was reasonable and normal. I guess it wasn't reasonable probably, but I hope that it was fairly normal. Just like you can't do that at work.
Right. Yeah. I hope it wasn't like too, I don't know. Awful.
Yeah. They said it was over the line, but like, I hope it wasn't too far over.
Yeah. Like I hope it was just like a toe over the line, and not like a whole like body like yeeted with a catapult over the line.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, Torts has been my life coach here since last season, and he's my mentor for sure.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't know that, and he doesn't know you.
No, we haven't met yet.
Right, but through his pre and post games, you've picked up a lot of knowledge. You have been really cranky lately.
I've probably learned that from Torts.
You probably have been, actually.
My goodness.
Maybe your crankiness is going to be better now that we have less Torts influence.
I don't know. Well, he certainly reminds me of me.
Yeah.
In some ways. I mean, I'm not as rigid as he is.
True.
But I might be as cranky as he is in the last year or so. And I don't know. I just hope, I hope it was okay in the general sense. Like, I hope it was more like HR's just like, no, you can't be a manager and do that or say that. You have to go, and not something where I have to cancel Torts. Because I will. I walk away from people at any point in time. It doesn't like ruin my past with them, but like, you know, if he's a terrible person, then that's fine. I'll just move on from him.
I'm with you. I want to keep liking him, but yeah, if it does ever come out what did happen, and if it's something really egregious, then that's going to be a bummer.
That'll be a huge bummer.
That's just annoying to have judged somebody so wrongly.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, like, we sort of knew it was coming. We didn't know the timing. I don't think anybody knew the timing.
No.
But for me, the biggest disappointment is that I don't know how to hear him talk anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's going to, right? He's old.
I think he had said this was probably going to be his last head coaching gig.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, because I would love to see Boston pick him up.
Boston seems like a great fit for Torts.
They need to get whipped into shape next year.
They need what he did.
They need a Torts to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's kind of one of the last old school coaches around.
For sure.
And I don't, and I think it's actually good that we're moving away from that. Like, people these days have things like therapy and look out for their mental health, and they have boundaries.
For sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
And, earlier in the season, he did say that he understands that, the world's different and players are different and people are different, and you have to, coach them differently. I don't know if he heard his own message.
I think he was aware of that, and he was very careful to say things, like about Michtrav, that like the fans and the media needed to not put too much pressure on him because he's a 19-year-old kid and he doesn't need to have like the weight of the franchise on his shoulders.
Right.
So he certainly is savvy about that in certain respects.
Yeah.
But ultimately, how many new tricks can you teach an old dog?
Yeah. And with his personality, like, he's a ticking time bomb that you don't want to push.
Yeah.
And who knows? I don't know. So yeah, for me, I've got to find a new guy friend.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any of them.
I know.
So, and I got to find a new life coach. So.
Well, I guess we'll be on the lookout.
So yeah. Anyway, I don't know what else there is to say.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I do think the time was right. I wish it didn't go down like this. I wish it was more normal, but
I think so too. I guess I will conclude this by saying R.I.P. Torts. I know you're not dead, but I'll miss you anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So let's move on to some other news.
I can't move on from Torts.
Well, let's temporarily look ahead to some other news.
There we go. Okay.
All right. Before we talk about the NHL, I thought I would take a little detour into some college hockey.
Okay. Wait, we're doing college hockey now?
Yeah, why not,
Oh, my God.
But I just think, that why limit ourselves to the NHL?
Why limit ourselves? We could be doing OHL and KHL.
PWHL.
Well, we've done a little bit of that.
We have. So why not college hockey?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to make you do all of college hockey.
Oh,
This was just a fun little thing. So you have noticed, because we've talked about it a little bit, that there were sort of a flurry of signings this week.
I thought he was retiring.
No, not a Marc-Andre flurry of signings, just a regular flurry of signings.
Okay.
So that was kind of happening because college teams were being knocked out of the NCAA men's ice hockey tournament.
Oh, right. Oh, that's okay. That's why there was news of ELCs and this and that of people I've never heard of.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. I like that we recorded a podcast earlier and I explained that to you and you still seem genuinely surprised by that.
It's classic Fred.
And I'm looking at you and I know that was not acting. You are, in fact, genuinely surprised.
It's classic Fred.
And I explained it to you earlier this week as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But classic Fred.
This is who I am.
That is who you are. So yes, that's why you're seeing so many signings happening right now. It's because all of these college players who either were drafted in the past are signing their ELCs, or they were undrafted, but they're signing two-way deals.
So you can be drafted and then go to college?
Yes, you can.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. But once you sign your ELC and play in the NHL, then you're done with college.
You're done for.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So Yeah, so people have been signing. The men's tournament is still going on through mid-April.
Okay.
But the women's NCAA ice hockey tournament was also happening, and that wrapped up last week on March 23rd. And the final game of that one was a banger.
Yeah.
So that one took place between the Wisconsin Badgers and the Ohio State Buckeyes. And you've seen some clips of it, but I just want to put it in context for you.
Yeah.
So there were 18.9 seconds left on the clock in the third period. Wisconsin was down by 1. They were on the power play and they had pulled the goalie. So they're just putting everything they have into just trying to tie up this game. Mm-hmm. They had a puck almost go in. An Ohio State player covered it up with her hand and stopped the puck from going in. And that results in an automatic penalty shot.
Yeah, that's illegal, I guess.
Apparently.
Sure.
So again, different rules for different leagues, which is super interesting to me and super boring to you.
Absolutely is.
Yeah. So the Wisconsin players all met up at the bench and the coach kind of said, all right, who wants it? Which I thought was fantastic.
Right.
And Kirsten Sims raised her hand and she went on and took the penalty shot and she made it. It was a really sick shot.
Yep.
And so the game ended up going to overtime. And then just for good measure, she went ahead and scored the OT game winner as well.
Really sick.
Yeah.
That's a great, one of them 30 for 30 stories or whatever.
Yeah, just like a super, super badass.
Yeah.
But I read some articles about it too. And I thought it was great that the coach asked who wanted to take the shot. And he said after the game, I wanted to see who wanted to step up and own it and who felt comfortable in the setting because you can't have 1 ounce of negativity in your mind as you pick the puck up. And he added, I give her a lot of credit because I don't know if I would have taken the shot if the coach looked at me and said, okay, who wants to shoot?
Right.
Which is super valid.
Yeah, that's a boss move.
It really is.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of confidence. And while it did look like Sims put her hand up in the air right away, apparently she did have some nerves about it, but apparently everybody on the bench was yelling her name and 4 or 5 other players were pointing at her. And that's what gave her the confidence to raise her hand. So it wasn't just her being like, I'm a badass.
Right.
But it was her whole team being like, you're a badass. You got this.
That's cool.
Which is awesome because hockey is the teamiest of all of the team sports.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So, yeah, her captain, Casey O'Brien, said that Sims had a deer in the headlights look, but that she's their best shootout person by far. And yeah, she went and she did it and she was a badass. And it was
That's so cool. Yeah. What a great story.
Yeah. And they won the national championship.
Amazing.
I know. I loved that. So, yay. Yay, college hockey.
Yay, college hockey.
That was cool, right?
No, it is cool. I'm not going to watch college hockey, though.
Totally fine. That's fine.
I might watch the Black Bears, I guess. I would watch them, maybe.
Yeah.
If I had to.
There you go.
But that's about it.
It's not happening, though.
No.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the NHL now. Washington Capitals. Earlier this week, Dylan Strome went on a podcast and said that his teammate Jacob Chychrun no longer uses light bulbs in his house and instead uses beeswax candles, which I told you about.
Yeah.
Chychrun has now clarified that Strome, who used to be his roommate when they both played for the Yotes, exaggerated this whole thing for comedic effect.
Okay.
So he does definitely use light bulbs during the day. Mm-hmm. It's just after dinner, he and his wife like to turn off all the lights and light candles and just live in the candlelight, and he sleeps better.
Okay.
It's just nice.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, circadian rhythm stuff or whatever.
Yeah, it makes total sense to me. I mean, he is hippy dippy.
He does eat the raw liver.
Yep.
And do the farmer's market stuff and make his own Snickers bars out of like almonds and dates, which are not Snickers bars, but that's what he calls them.
He does call them that.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he belongs on a surfboard, honestly, and not playing hockey.
He's looks like he's like a marble statue that came to life.
Right.
The jaw is very chiseled.
Yeah.
He did also sell his Tesla recently because he had a, quote, weird feeling about sitting on a battery all day.
Jeez. Yeah. He's basically amulet territory, right?
Yeah. I was thinking maybe John Tavares should, if, he's having trouble selling amulets, he should hit up Jacob Chychrun because I bet he'd buy a couple.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But it all seems to be working because Chychrun re-signed in Washington for the next 8 years at $9 million AAV.
That's pretty baller.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
When you're rich, you can be crazy. So
I mean, yeah, I'd be out of control.
Absolutely. In other Caps news, on Thursday, the Washington Capitals played the Minnesota Wild in their last regular season matchup. The Caps lost 4-2, but Ovi made sure his teammates didn't go down the tunnel. He ushered them back out onto the
Right.
ice.
Yeah. Some of the guys had like gone off and were like halfway down the tunnel.
Yeah. He was like, nope, come back out here.
Yeah.
And got them all to line up and pay their respects to Marc-Andre Fleury, who is retiring at the end of the season. And, Fleury played a big chunk of his career with the Penguins, who have had a big rivalry with the Caps.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Especially, Fleury Ovi and Sid, they kind of were drafted within a year of each other.
Okay.
And were kind of pitted against each other in the media as having this big rivalry.
Yeah.
So it was, a big thing.
Way before my time.
Way before your time. A little before my time, even.
Yeah.
So, Fleury was a big part of that. And so, yeah, it was just really nice to see these kind of two old nemeses meeting on center ice and having a hug and having a laugh. And
yeah, it was a super high class move.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
And yeah, I mean, that Andre seems Marc-Andre. That Andre, he seems like a awesome guy. Like, I've only known him for basically a season and a half, but we've watched some of like the old stuff of him. My God, what a guy. Like, I get why everyone loves him.
Yeah, he's very charming.
Universally likable.
Yeah, adored. I have not encountered anybody who has anything bad to say about him.
Right.
And if they do, I will have words for them.
Yeah, for sure.
So hockey fights. We had some of those this week.
My God, you're so happy.
I love hockey fights.
You do.
They're the best.
I'm coming around on them, but I don't like all of them.
No, not all of them are good.
Yeah.
But when it's like mutually agreed upon fisticuffs, it can be really fun.
Yeah, no, I think that the first fight I saw and liked was that Delorier fight, and it was
Delorier and spicy tuna.
Yeah, and that was the first one where I was like, oh no, this is gentlemanly.
Yeah, this is a thing.
Yeah.
On Sunday, we almost got the best kind of fight, which is a goalie fight.
My goodness, you just losing your mind over that. You want that to happen as bad as some of the goalies,
as bad as Marc-Andre Fleury, who would also like to have one. Incidentally, I had a great idea. We all want Fleury to have a goalie fight before the end of his career. If it doesn't happen, I think that Gustafson, the other Minnesota goalie, should fight him in their last game.
Like during warm-ups?
No, like at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
At the end?
Yeah.
All right.
I think it would be fun and nice.
All right.
Anyway, so in this one, it all started when a Kings player knocked a Bruins forward into the Kings goalie, Darcy Kemper. And Kemper didn't like that.
Nope.
So he grabbed the head and neck of the player and popped his helmet off.
Yeah.
So the Bruin player went to the box for goalie interference, and Kemper got 2 minutes for roughing. Swayman did not appreciate Kemper putting his hands all over his teammate.
Right.
So Swayman came out, skated out to like his blue line and was like, yo, let's go.
Right.
And Kemper was like, gladly.
Yeah, he didn't even hesitate.
Not a flinch, not a hesitation at all. So he came out, Kemper comes, they're both kind of going towards the red line in the middle. The ref said to Swayman, you can't cross the red line. You will be in trouble.
Right.
And Kemper doesn't give a fuck. He crosses the red line.
He crossed it. He was ready.
He's throwing his gloves.
Yep.
Swayman's like, cool. He throws his gloves. He gets his helmet off. They're ready to go. The refs do not love us and do not want us to have fun, so they break it up.
Yeah, these refs this year, huh?
I know. And I know it comes down from above because Gary Bettman doesn't want it and the owners and the GMs don't want it because if your goalie gets hurt in a fight, that's really bad.
Right.
But I don't care.
No.
If they want to fight, let them fight.
That's pretty much where I
Let the goalies fight. They want to fight.
If the other guys can fight, then they should fight too.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare to probably have beef that far across the ice from each other. Like, so.
Right?
Yeah, and I can see Swayman's point. Like, hey, if you want to fight one of our guys and you're a goalie, no, you fight me.
Well, yeah, because that guy can't fight back.
Right.
So it's on the goalie to defend his guy.
Yeah.
It's just like the Old West or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just for honor. The only people who were enjoying it more than I was were Brant Clark and Andrei Kuzmenko of the LA Kings, who were on the bench kind of like clutching at each other and basically jumping up and down. They were so excited.
Kuzmenko is probably doing his butt jump, right?
I miss Kuzmenko. I know we only had him on the Flyers for a short time.
Yeah.
He was lovely.
I wish he didn't go to the Kings.
It's sad because like I would keep up with him more, but literally the Kings are like a vortex for me. Like I forget that they exist until they show up and play one of my teams or until they make the news by having a almost goalie fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't remember he exists now because he has fallen into the Kings vortex.
Yeah. No, he's just off having fun elsewhere, and that's good for him.
I have seen that Kings fans are really happy with him. So
that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
He's pretty fun.
He's a really nice guy. I like him. I will say somebody who was not impressed with the goalie fight.
Who's that?
Nikita Zadorov.
Oh my God, that interview is funny.
Yeah, after the game, a reporter was like, "So, how was it seeing Jeremy Swayman stand up for your teammate?" And Zadorov was like, "Oh, is that what he was doing?" And just made this face.
Yeah.
He was not impressed.
No. Yeah. It definitely made me think that, well, I think we know that the locker room for Boston's not the greatest place.
I think I said earlier, the vibes are rancid there.
Yeah. So like Zadorov not liking Swayman or not liking that move from Swayman, I think is pretty funny.
Yeah, I think maybe there are bad feelings about the contract stuff over the summer and how long that took. And now Swayman has not been doing great this year. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Things are a foul.
Yeah. Early on in the season and the podcast, I was on the Swayman train.
The Sway train.
The Sway train does not run on the same track as the Torts train.
Very different track.
Very different.
Although maybe they intersect at like the Anchor station.
Apparently they do, yeah. I kind of like developed an appreciation for Swayman with the way he played last year and then the whatever documentary that was.
Yeah, that was the NHL
something.
Yeah, the one that they did at the end of last year.
Nylander and Swayman and all that. I was real hyped on him. I wasn't going to like follow him or anything, but I wanted him to do well. And he hasn't done well. And he has definitely some issues, I think.
Some anger management problems.
Yeah. And, coming off that big contract, it's not a great look. So I don't know.
It is not, for sure. There was another fight involving a Kings player. That happened last night on Saturday. So Jeff Malott of the Kings fought Brandon Carlo of the Maple Leafs. Carlo actually used to be a Boston Bruin.
Okay.
So apparently the Kings and Bruins just want to be fighting.
Yeah.
Jeff Malott is a 28-year-old who has primarily been an AHL guy. And yesterday was, I believe, his second career NHL game.
All right. He's already in a fight.
Yeah. Well, it runs in the family. His brother is a professional UFC fighter.
Oh, watch out.
Yeah. I guess Carlo was not aware of that at the time. And a reporter asked him if he was like, did you know his brother is Mike Malott, who is a UFC fighter? And he was like, I did not. I'm very glad I am still conscious and alive.
Right. Oh, my God.
So, and Carlo's got a bad concussion history. He's had like 6 concussions. So people were like, oh, that was cool of him, but also don't do that and get punched.
Yeah.
But they punched the shit out of each other and it was like a big brawl. But the best part was afterwards, they were both in the box and they're like giving each other thumbs up and grinning and just having a great time.
Oh, this is the one you said I should watch this. And
yes.
So like I had seen them in the box grinning at each other and I liked that, but I hadn't seen the fight. So I did watch the fight. That was a great fight.
It was like a fight. It was a really fighty fight.
Yeah. It wasn't like grab your shirt and hold you away and then eventually fall down.
Yeah.
It was great.
No, it was like fists.
Yeah.
And it was great. And I thought they both did a really good job. Like a lot of people were like, no, Carlo got his ass kicked. But I thought he really held his own. Yeah. Especially for somebody who is not a known fighter.
Yeah. No, it was cool.
I really enjoyed it. And then we kind of almost had like a linesman fight. I can't remember which game it was because we watched so many games this week.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's right.
There was some game.
It was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
There was some game where a player like collided with a linesman.
Yeah.
And I think like the linesman was not where he should have been. Like he was like out in the middle of the ice.
He braced for impact. Yeah.
And then the player was not super impressed with it. And then
the linesman wasn't super impressed with it either.
Yeah, the linesman was like, fuck off.
Yeah, he was like getting ready to throw down with the player.
Yeah, no, he had like veins popping out of his neck.
Right.
So we very nearly got a linesman fight. I mean, it was a fighty week in the NHL.
That would be wild if a ref or linesman got in a fight with a player. Like what kind of fine or discipline would that be?
Honestly, it's probably happened in like the 80s or earlier.
Right.
Yeah, back when it was a little more lawless.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. If you like fights, it was a good week to watch the sport.
Yep.
Other news of note, a few days ago, a reporter asked Tim Stützle if he felt at one point like his team was battling more than just the Red Wings. He was referring to some questionable calls from the refs. Stützle just laughed and said he didn't want to answer because he didn't want to be fined.
Mm-hmm.
Brendan Gallagher, though, did call out inconsistent reffing in a post-game interview. He said that players all over the league were frustrated with it. He used the word incompetence to describe the reffing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He certainly spoke his mind.
He sure did. Surprisingly, I have not heard anything about any kind of fine or punishment. I'm assuming because the league doesn't want to draw any more attention to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would happen, right? Like
very Streisand effect.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
But I don't know. It was certainly a week of questionable calls again.
Many of them against the Stars.
Yeah. So, refs still be reffing.
Refs be reffing all over the place.
Yeah.
The Sharks beat the Maple Leafs on Thursday in a game that went to a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
Both Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini made goals in the shootout, and they were really nice goals.
Those are sick. Yeah.
I really enjoyed watching that. I like those kids.
Yeah, the announcers lost their mind.
Yeah, they were like most fun last place team in the league.
Yep. No.
I love how they've leaned into the narrative.
Yeah, and the Maple Leafs going off the ice, just hanging their heads is
getting beat by the Sharks in a shootout.
Right.
Just
great stuff.
Yep. Milk and cookies for the Sharks.
Yeah.
The Rangers unfortunately beat the Sharks 6-1 last night. The only goal scored was somebody had their first NHL goal for the Sharks, which is a bummer. And then to add insult to injury, the Rangers bus apparently backed into a parked car as they were leaving the arena. And that car belonged to one Macklin Celebrini. That's
wild. I just heard about that during the first recording of this podcast.
Yes, I saved it for you as a surprise.
Yeah. What a circumstance, huh?
Yes, it did not seem very fun.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's like pictures of him like on his phone and everyone's like, who do you think he's calling? Is he calling his parents? Is he calling Joe Thornton? Is he calling his agent? Is he calling the insurance company?
Yeah, no, he's, all those questions that they ask, like who would be your emergency contact? He's probably calling his emergency contact because he's like, I don't know how to deal with this.
And we all know who his emergency contact is.
That's right.
It's Will Smith.
And Will's like, I don't know how to deal with this either.
Yeah. And Will's like, hang on, let me call my emergency contact to find out what to do. And then he calls Macklin Celebrini. And Macklin Celebrini is like, well, I don't know what to do. Let me call my emergency contact. And then it keeps going.
That'd be amazing. That's funny.
It would be great. It'd be a really good comedy skit.
Yeah.
Better than anything I've seen on SNL this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Brad Marchand made his debut with the Florida Panthers on Friday night when they played Utah. And he did all kinds of things.
He looked good.
We
watched that game.
Yeah, he looked good right from his first shift. He just looked like he belonged there and he knew what he was doing. And at one point he was on the bench and he was sitting next to Barkov and Barkov was like smiling and laughing. And we were like, what is going on?
Right.
And
the world is a different place now.
I know. A reporter actually asked about it afterwards and Barkov was like, yeah, no, I just heard him chirping at somebody. And I was like, I usually hear that like at me at games and now it's coming from my teammate. Right. And I was like, what?
Yeah, no, that's funny.
Really funny. Marchand also had an assist on the OT game winner.
It was sick. Which
was by Sam Bennett, who, Bennett took Marchand out of the playoffs last year with a pretty nasty hit.
Yeah, the rabbit punched the face.
Yes, exactly. It was like, it was an accident. But then when you see it from the other side, you're like, oh, no, that was very intentional.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was pretty crazy. The two of them getting together.
Yeah, he was behind the net, hesitated a second. Bennett got in the right spot. Bing, bang, boom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the game, Brad gathered some plastic rats off of the ice that the Florida fans throw on there after the games when they win to take them home to his kids. Because I guess his kids had been like, why did they throw rats on the ice? And he was telling them about the tradition.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it turns out Brad Marchand has kids.
That was a thing we did not know about. And I don't know why, because like hockey players get married pretty young and have kids. Like that's kind of a standard thing.
Like people have families and stuff.
Yeah, and especially hockey players. Like It's not unusual.
Right.
I was very surprised for some reason. I was like, wait, Brad Marchand has children?
Yeah.
And a human wife?
The human wife. You were very surprised.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I had to go on Wikipedia and look it up.
Yep. No. And I went on his Instagram and definitely has kids and a wife, and he has a life. He doesn't just go home to his rat cage.
Yeah, no, which was very surprising. Doesn't just run on a little hamster wheel. He's got stuff going on.
He's got a whole damn family.
I know. I think he's just maybe a nice, normal person.
He might be. I've never had anything against him because I don't know him. So,
yeah.
But I know that he's certainly a polarizing figure.
I really didn't like him, and then I've really come around on him this year, I gotta say. So
yeah,
I was already starting to, and then Four Nations helped a lot, and now he's just fitting in so well in Florida, and it's kind of great.
Yeah,
so,
and Paul Maurice is very happy with him. I do dabble in post-game Maurice.
Yes, you do.
I do.
So maybe he'll be your fix for a while.
I can't get involved with Florida. We lived there too long, and I don't want to go back to having connections to Florida. So
that's fair.
I do like the Panthers. I do like Paul Maurice.
They're not going to be your team.
They can't be.
No.
Because they're in Florida.
Yes.
I have to find somebody else if Philly's not going to work out for me. I think Philly's going to be okay, but I'm certainly auditioning some hats and logos that I like and some coaches that I enjoy. And so far, Flames are on the short list, and we'll see what else might happen. But
we already know it's not going to be the Stars because you don't vibe with Pete DeBoer.
Oh my God, Pete DeBoering. Those interviews are not my thing.
Not your cup of
tea. No, the Flames guy is certainly boring, but he's nerdy and he's insightful and he's interesting and he's calm. So we'll see. I don't know. I've got to audition some other coaches. Look at the Sharks coach maybe. I don't know.
I have a feeling you're going to maybe just have a new team every year, or you're going to stick with the Flyers after all, and it's going to be cool.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think Shawzy is going to be named head coach of the Flyers, but if he is, I'm probably not going to watch those interviews. He's not quite for me.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I'm still all in on the Flyers. They're still my number 2 team.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll be in for that. No problem. Back to the news, Lane Hudson became only the 5th rookie NHL defenseman in history to record 50 assists in a season. And the last time that happened was in the 1985-86 season.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day when I was a young child.
Wow.
So that's pretty nuts. Quinn Hughes was on pace to hit 50 assists in his rookie year, but that season was a COVID-shortened season. But it's super impressive. And I think at this point, it's pretty much the Calder is between him and Dustin Wolf.
Yeah.
Who are both fantastic and both very deserving.
Yeah. And we saw him play Flyers, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And man, he's good.
Yeah.
His skating is ridiculous. His puck handling is ridiculous. His hockey IQ or vision of the ice is wildly good.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Maybe you're going to watch the Habs.
They're a fun team. I like a lot of the guys on the team. They got a good social media presence.
The Slavkovsky and Jack social media stuff is pretty great.
It's pretty funny. So yeah, they're a strong possibility. I do love Montreal. I have been there. It's an amazing city.
Well, there you go. That's a possibility too.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm just trying to get you hooked on as many hockey teams as possible. So
well, yeah,
it's part of my evil plan. And then finally, the Kraken and Preds have joined Chicago and San Jose in being eliminated from playoff contention. And then 3 teams have cemented their place in the playoffs as of this recording. And they are the Washington Capitals, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Dallas Stars.
Yeah. But that was going to happen anyway.
It was going to happen,
just
but now it's official.
When they do it, I guess.
Yeah, it's just, this is just, it's like the playoffs are coming. This is the excitement of it. It's okay, now we're seeing who's in it for sure.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the Predators were eliminated months ago.
The Predators were eliminated a month into the season.
Right.
Pretty much. Spiritually.
Right.
Or emotionally. They were eliminated back last year at the U2 concert.
Yeah,
let's be real.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I've got for news. So let's move on to our teams.
All right. Sounds good.
So Flyers, like I said, we're just going to talk about the post-Torts era games because there's no use in talking about all of the badness.
Those games are trash anyway.
They were bad. So let's not bother. So Thursday, the Habs played the Flyers in Philly, and it was a really good game for the Flyers. Like I said, they're having their hot girl summer.
Yeah.
They're looking good.
They were brat.
They were brat. they were just having fun. They let loose. They still were playing, they had their fundamentals. They still had what they learned from Torts.
Right.
And they still had their errors that they had when Torts was there too.
For sure.
Like they didn't fix anything.
No, nothing was fixed overnight.
No, but they're having fun, and that was the big difference.
Yeah, and it sounded like, Danny and the coaching staff were like, just loosen up and have fun, and let's end the season on a high note, and try and get back into it in some way.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think that the organization is on the tank train.
No.
So many trains in this episode.
It's a very choo-choo heavy episode.
Yeah, no, I think for Danny, it's more like, hey, this team's getting real demoralized. We need to make them feel happy and confident in their hockey again.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big motivating factor in getting rid of Torts when they did. And based on these first two games, it helped.
Yeah, sure.
So in this first game, in the first period, Michkov scored on his very first shift of the game.
Yep.
And that was a sort of a tic-tac-toe goal that went from Couturier to Travis Konechny to Mich.
Yep.
And there was a cute little smiley hug with Mich and TK.
Yeah, that whole line is vibing.
It is. And they were kind of together for a bit and looking good. And then I think they went away for a while, but now they are back.
Yep.
The Habs scored a goal, but then Nick Delorier scored his first goal of the season, thanks to some great work from Abels and Lixell.
First goal of the season with however many games left.
Yeah, 8 or 9 games left.
I mean, he didn't play all the games but
he's not there to score goals. He's there to punch people in the face.
He's obviously not there to score goals, because that reporter asked him how it felt to score that goal, and he was like, he laughed and said, "I don't care."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a verbatim quote. He was like, "I don't care."
Right.
Yeah, he literally could not care less.
He gave a shout out to his line and his teammates. He's like, they're the ones that made it happen.
I'm pretty sure his exact words were, "Shout out to my line."
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "I don't care. Shout out to my line."
Yeah.
What a guy.
I know. He is who you see.
Yeah. And God, he's just, as a side note, he's a lot more eloquent than you would think or expect.
Yeah, no, he really talked a lot about sort of everything that Torts brought to the organization and everything that he learned and they'll take away, and then everything about how the team has been brought close together. And I don't know, go check out all the players' interviews this week. They're very interesting.
For the Flyers, yeah. Mm-hmm. There was nobody seemed to be towing a company line other than Cam York.
Right. Yes, he was very much like, Torts taught me things that I will carry with me for the rest of my career. Goodbye.
Yeah.
But other people had genuinely nice things to say for the most part.
I don't think there's a lot of ill will towards him, but who knows,
Yeah. But anyway, we're in the post-Torts era.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. So back to the game. Michkov had a great shot that bounced off of Couturier and went to the goal. And so that goal was credited to Coots, and that took the score to 3-1. And then TK had a great look, but Jacob Dobish had a sassy little glove save that TK thought was maybe a little too sassy.
Yep.
He kind of had some words for Dobish and was making some hand gestures and doing some miming.
Yep.
So, which was great because I like it when TK is feisty like that.
He hasn't been feisty for the last 11 games.
He's been so subdued. It was nice to see a little spark of life. So I enjoyed that a lot. The second period was scoreless, so let's move on to the third.
Okay.
The third period, Cole Caulfield managed to beat Urson from below the goal line and banked a goal off of Urson's foot.
Yeah, it was a sick shot.
It really was. Hate to admit it, but it was nice.
Yep.
Tyson Forrester ended his 13-game goal drought, cleaning up a rebound off of a shot from Sealer. The Habs had a good shorthanded look, but the Flyers got it back up the ice, and Coots scored his second of the night. The Habs scored again, but then Michkov scored his second of the night.
Right.
It's just like a goal-scoring bonanza at this point.
Yeah, it certainly was.
The Habs pulled their goalie, and Laine scored with 3 minutes left to pull the score to 6-4 in favor of the Flyers. And that would be the last goal of the game. The Flyers did try to score an empty net goal. The first time it was like Coots and TK and Meech all trying to pass to each other and being like, you get the goal. No, you get the goal. No, you get the Hattie. No, you get the Hattie. And then nobody got a goal and everybody was mad.
Right.
So then Meech had another opportunity and then he just rang it off the post. So
empty net off the post. I mean, there
That's real Dallas Stars nonsense.
there were defenders around and whatnot, but yeah, that would have been his first hat trick.
It would have been.
In the post game, Shawzy was like, well, maybe he's just saving it for Saturday.
Yes. One can hope.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he did, I think, in that game, too, have an attempt at a Michigan that would have been his third.
Oh, did he? I missed that.
It was either that game or the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been pretty cool.
I can't wait until that kid gets a Michigan.
Oh, my God. It would have been perfect if it was the first post-Torts game.
Oh, my God, right?
I really would have died.
Yeah. Torts would have rolled over in his grave.
I will say, as much as it was great to see everybody scoring and having a great time that way, I also really enjoyed the moment when there was a big scrum and there was like this huge pile of bodies and the refs are just like pulling people off of the pile and they finally get down to the bottom and there's Slavkovsky and TK down there.
Yep.
And they separate those two and send them to the penalty box. And they cut to them in the penalty box and TK is just yapping. And Slavkovsky's kind of trying to defend himself a little bit, but TK is like, you fucking eye gouged me. And then, yeah, it was just, he was so back to his like feral little shitbag self. And I just really felt like nature was healing and it was great.
Nature's healing.
It felt like the balance was restored.
Yep.
And I don't know, it's just, I felt like I could breathe again.
It did feel like Flyers hockey out there.
Yeah, and like Flyers, like personality too.
Right, yeah.
It was great. So moving on to Saturday, the Sabres came and played at the Flyers in Philly.
Yeah.
And that was a national broadcast where they clearly could not care less about the game.
Oof, they were not excited to announce that one.
They literally apologized before the game and they were like, sorry about this.
The first thing out the guy's mouth was, this is what we got. Sorry. These teams suck.
It's like, cool. So if I'm a fan, I'm offended. And if I'm not a fan, I'm turning the channel. Great marketing, NHL Network.
Yeah.
In the first period, Michkov once again opened the scoring. This was on the first shot of the game.
Yep.
When he and TK had a 2-on-1. And then the Flyers scored again on their second shot. Tippett had a really amazing pass to Pelletier, who got his first goal as a Flyer.
Yeah, I've come around on him.
I like him.
I'm real happy that he got a goal finally.
Me too. He's been in there. He's been trying. He's had a lot more minutes since Torts is gone.
Yep.
He tries real hard. He is just like a breath of fresh air. Shaw says he's just like the energy guy and he's like so happy all the time. And when anybody scores, nobody's happier than Pelletier. So
yeah. No, he's a fun kid.
He is.
I'm glad he stuck around. I think him and Kuzmenko was maybe too much happy guy.
That's a lot of happy for Philly.
Right.
Like, I think you maybe just need one happy guy in Philly.
Guy. Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe that's for the best.
Right.
So, yeah. Jack Quinn of the Sabres did score to cut the lead in half. So we ended the first period with the Flyers up 2-1. In the second period, the Sabres tied it up. And then Jack Quinn scored again on the power play and they pulled ahead. But then a few minutes later, Michkov tied it up once again with a great backhand after a turnover by the Sabres.
Yep. And the announcers were quick to point out that there was just goals all over the place because they're terrible at defense.
Because everyone's terrible at defense. They're like, yeah, we said going in, this is going to be a high-scoring game because everyone's bad at defense.
Right.
It's like, thanks for that great commentary, guys.
Yeah.
Noah Cates then reclaimed the lead off of a great feed from Forrester, and the second period ended with the Flyers up 4-3. Mm-hmm. In the third period, Tippett widened that lead with a one-timer on the power play that clocked at 91.1 miles an hour. He
heard me talking smack.
He did. He said, listen, I know that Jason Robertson's doing well, and so you feel like you need to criticize somebody, but that somebody will not be Owen Tippett, mister.
I don't know. I am
underwhelmed.
I am whelmed by Owen Tippett.
No, you're underwhelmed, actually.
No, I'm actively underwhelmed. I have been, like, I haven't mentioned that or brought it up like I do with Robertson, but like that guy, I don't know.
Yeah.
He always goes in there and has that I'm just going to do it myself attitude and tries to go through four dudes and gets the puck taken away. Like, he does have a good shot. I'm sure he is a good player. I know he was a good player, but man, I don't know. He's certainly overpaid.
I do think the contract's maybe a little high for the consistency.
Yeah.
So, but what do I know? I'm not an expert.
Nope.
You know, I just have opinions, a lot of them. The Sabres did score a shorthanded goal in this game, and Shaw took full responsibility for that in the press conference afterwards. He was like, yeah, that was my bad. I had 5 forwards out there on the penalty hill or on the power play, and I shouldn't have done that. And I had a bad feeling, but it shouldn't take them scoring for me to know that that was bad. And I suck.
Yeah. And he apologized to Urson.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's pretty funny. Yeah. It was like one of those situations where you do something and you're like, I don't know if this is the right. Oh, nope, it wasn't the right thing.
He's like, I got a bad feeling about this. Oh, I should have listened to my gut. And who amongst us has not done such a thing at work?
On the weekly.
Exactly. Yeah. It just happens. So Paling did score on that power play, though. So that kind of canceled out the shorthanded goal.
Yeah.
And that put the score at 7-4. And that was the final score of the game.
Yeah.
So in the first two post-Torts era games, the Flyers scored a total of 13 goals.
Yeah. I do think that the schedule helped them.
You would think that. Here's the advantage to us re-recording this later.
Uh-oh.
The Capitals played the Sabres today.
Yeah.
The Sabres beat the Capitals 8-5.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
well, I mean, they looked like absolute trash out there.
They did look like garbage.
Their defense was some of the worst I've ever seen, and they didn't have Darlene.
They did not, which is an issue.
Yeah, and that dude's great. He impressed me in the Four Nations. So I was like, wow, that guy's good, and apparently he is, as we know. And what a sweet gig that guy's got. Like, oh, yeah, no, we're not going to postseason. I get off early. I make $11 million a year. We're not expected to win. Cool. Like that.
Nobody pays attention to me because I'm in Buffalo.
Right. And he doesn't want to leave Buffalo.
Yeah.
He's happy.
Why would you want to? Nobody pays attention to you. You get to be done at the end of the season and you're good to go.
Yeah. What a sweet gig.
All right. Well, I think that really covers all of the Flyer stuff. So let's move on to the Dallas Stars, the worst, best team there is. I'm going to say it right now. The Dallas Stars, we had 4 games. We won them all.
Yeah.
On paper, we look great.
Yeah.
If you watch the games, not so much.
Not the greatest play.
No.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I am trying to relax a little bit because I do feel like, you know how, like, if you're a smart kid and you get like a B+ and your parents are like, but why didn't you get an A? Like, I hate that,
Right.
And like, as a parent, I'm definitely not that way. But as a hockey fan, I'm apparently that way. I have very high expectations at the Dallas Stars.
Right.
And like, I do need to relax a little bit.
They did win.
They did.
Yeah.
They won all their games.
Yeah.
And I've been very critical of Pete because the top line hasn't been working with Rantanen and Robo and Rope. And I've been like, mix it up. But I need to be more patient and let things happen.
Yeah.
Because again, I do not know what I'm doing or talking about.
Right.
All the same, I have concerns.
Yeah. It's.
Well, let's get into it.
Let's do that thing.
All right. So our first game, we played Monday against the Minnesota Wilds. That's always a fun time for Jake Ottinger because he's from Minnesota. Mm-hmm. This really wasn't a super exciting game. There were no goals scored until 5 minutes left in the second period. And then that one was like a very efficient goal. Like Rope won a faceoff and took a shot, and then it deflected off of Wyatt's stick on the way in. So
yeah, Pavelski-esque.
Yep. Certainly. And then less than a minute after that, Granlund and Ben did some great work to get the puck away from Minnesota, and Granlund fed it to Duchesne, who got it into the net past Jamie, who kind of jumped out of the way to make sure he didn't disrupt anything. And then, bam, we were up 2-0.
Yeah.
And then that was it for pretty much the whole game.
Right. And
then at the end of the third, the Wilds pulled their goalie, and we had an empty net goal from Mason Marchment. And that really was it. Jake had some really good saves. He made 33 saves. It was a shutout for him, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I did say that I really hoped that this would maybe be a turning point for him. This is another area where, like, it looks great on paper. Like, I think he has the 3rd most wins for any goalie in the NHL this season.
Okay.
But we're all like, Jake doesn't look like himself because he's like let in some softies, and
yep.
There have been a lot of games this season where he's been scored on the first or second shot.
Yeah.
So that just makes me nervous. But he looked really solid this game in a way I haven't really felt like solid about him in a while. And I was just really hoping it might be a turning point for him. So
yeah. Yeah, that game was okay. I thought Minnesota looked pretty good.
They did.
They just couldn't finish.
Yeah.
And because they couldn't and nobody was scoring goals, I got bored.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah. So
There was one exciting thing that happened.
what's that?
Mikko Rantanen was officially inducted into the Dallas Stars.
Oh, God, that's right.
He caught a puck to the face.
I mean, you got to.
You can't be a Dallas Star until you catch a puck to the face.
Dallas Stars hazing.
It's just part of the ritual.
Right.
We were all like, oh, he'll definitely score next game now because that's what you need to do is take a puck to the face.
Right.
So he did leave the game briefly, and then he came back out in a Franken visor. And after the game, he said he saw Marchment wearing it and it looked good. So he wanted to try one too.
It's funny.
It was pretty good.
Yep.
On Wednesday, the Stars left on a road trip and they went to Edmonton to play the Oilers, where we played a fantastic second period. And the rest, not so much.
Yeah.
The Stars were not able to do anything with 2 power plays early in the first, but they did open the scoring early with 5 minutes to go in the opening period. Thomas Harley lobbed a pretty wobbly pass past Bouchard, which got to Wyatt, who settled it down and put it home. And then Jake made some great saves, and we did end the first period up 1-0.
Yep.
Despite being outshot 14-5.
Yeah. I saw that first period, and I think second period. This one we might have watched in bed because it was so late.
We watched first period on the couch, I think, and then the second 2 periods in bed.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And I turned it off after, because we were both watching on our individual phones in bed.
Yes, exactly.
But I turned it off after the second went to bed. I will say in the first, I was like, oh, God, the Stars are going to get trounced by these. They looked so good.
They looked great. Their passes were crisp and clean and connecting, and everyone was fast and like vibing. And then the Dallas Stars were just like boop ba doop ba doo.
Yeah, and that was without Mick Draisaitl, right?
Yeah, no, there's no Mick Draisaitl in that game.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's a talented team.
It's a talented team.
They couldn't put it in the net, but it was. I was certainly worried because they were getting bodied in the first.
I will say Jake did a really great job in that game. And I think that was maybe some carryover from the Minnesota game.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That was really good.
Yep.
In the second period, we did remember that we're actually allowed to shoot the puck. Specifically, Jason Robertson remembered that we're allowed to shoot the puck. He had a natural hat trick.
Yeah.
The first one came off of some chemistry from the top line. Rantanen got a pass off to Rope. He was in the middle of like turning and falling down, and he still got like a perfect pass to Rope, who got it over to Robo, and Robo put it in the net. It was
a really cool sequence, and I think his proclivity for falling down, like he's used to it, so he's adapted, and
it's his natural state of being.
Right. So him being able to do things as he's falling down, it's natural.
It's just part of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So that was Robo's first goal. And then he had a couple more, and we did shoot more in that period. So at the end of the period, the shot count was 25 for Edmonton, 16 for Dallas, and we were up 4-0.
Yeah.
If the game would have ended there, would have been looking great for us.
Right.
The game did not end there, but Dallas maybe thought it did.
Yeah. I went to bed. It was 4-0. I was like, they got it.
They did have it, but for a while it looked like maybe they did not have it.
Right.
Halfway through this third period, the Oilers went on the power play, and Corey Perry almost immediately got one past Jake. And then 4 minutes later, Edmonton went on the power play again and scored again. It was like deja vu all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then with around a minute and a half left, the score was 4-2. Edmonton had 41 shots on net at that point, and Dallas only had 24, which is not good.
No.
Edmonton had pulled their goalie, and they managed to score once more. But we managed to hold them off from any more goals, and we held on to the win 4-3.
Yeah.
I don't really blame Jake at all for that one. He did great. He was just hammered by shots all night. And Pete was not happy. Pretty displeased in the post game.
Yeah, he was calling him out, right?
He was, yeah.
I didn't see the interview because it's boring, but I did understand. He was calling him out and disappointed in it.
Yeah.
Not good enough.
Not happy with the energy and the everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was unfortunate. There was also a bad thing. Stuart Skinner, the Oilers goalie, got an injury. Mikko Rantanen accidentally hit him. He was out of his crease, and he kind of went to get a puck and went down, and Rantanen was skating by at the same time, and his leg hit Skinner's head and kind of tweaked his neck a little bit. So Obviously, total accident, but, the anti-Rantanen people were like, he clearly did it on purpose because he's a malevolent entity.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, well, people don't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely convinced on Rantanen, but I don't think he's like some secret assassin out there trying to injure people.
If he was, he would be a very clumsy one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's how he disguises himself.
It's very like Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
On Thursday, the Stars played another game in Alberta, this one in Calgary. And I will admit right off the bat that we once again looked tired and slow to start, but I'm a little more forgiving because this was a back-to-back game.
Yeah.
7 minutes into the game, the Flames had 6 shots on goal and we only had 1.
The Flames looked like they were on fast forward.
They looked like they were on fire.
Yeah. No, they were so fast, so quick. Things were like, wow. Yeah.
They were zipping around.
Yeah.
Well, on our second shot of the game, Rantanen scooped up the puck after it slipped away from Robo and got it to Rope, who put it in the net. So that was pretty great. Mm-hmm. With 6 minutes left in the first, it looked like Connor Zary scored on what was kind of a clusterfuck of a goal. Basically, Zary went into the crease along with Essa Lindell. Zary ended up holding onto the crossbar to stay up. Everyone was like, is that goaltender interference? Did Essa put him in there? What happened?
Right.
Ultimately, it didn't really matter because Zary kicked the puck over the goal line. So we didn't have to figure out if that was goal interference.
That got called back.
Yes, it got called back, and we did not have to do the goalie interference coin flip.
Right.
In the second period, the Flames once again thought that they had scored, but the Stars in this instance challenged for goaltender interference, and it was overturned once again.
Won the coin flip.
Yes, the coin flip was in our favor this time.
Yep.
But halfway through the second, they finally tied it up when Nazem Kadri did some frankly preposterous stick handling.
I mean, right out of the gate, he looked ridiculous. What a player.
He's really good.
He's really good. And he's fast and he's smart. Damn. Yeah.
He hasn't been super on my radar until the last couple of years, but he's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Wyatt Johnston is also really fun to watch. And he had a great goal with some fancy stick handling of his own.
Yeah.
He kind of like stick handled his way in there and then bounced the puck off of Dustin Wolf's pad and kind of got his own rebound, like elevated it over.
It was sick.
It was really good.
I do think Dustin Wolf could have maybe interrupted that with his abilities, but it was still ridiculous.
It was just so fast.
He was probably just so impressed with Wyatt. He was like, what?
Yeah, no, he was hypnotized. It was like a snake charmer.
Yeah.
And then a little over a minute after that, Marchment put a perfect pass onto Granlund's tape and he put it in the net. And so that put the Stars up 3-1 at the end of the second period. So as the third opened, the Flames still had some leftover power play time from the previous period, and they made the most out of it, scoring a goal almost right away. But then Mikko Rantanen finally got his first goal as a Dallas Star, cleaning up a rebound. So getting hit in the face with pucks works.
Yeah.
As a team bonding exercise.
Proven solution.
Dallas Stars, come to Dallas, leave the bruise.
Yeah.
So that happened. It was great. The Flames pulled Wolf and Duchesne sank an empty net goal, and the final score was 5-2 in favor of the Stars. We did this while being outshot 48-18.
Yeah. Nottinger definitely held his own.
Yes, this game was our backup goalie. Ottinger being our regular goalie, Nottinger being our backup goalie.
Yep.
And Nottinger did bring his A game. He really, really delivered.
Yeah, for sure.
Letting in just 2 out of 48, that's nuts.
Well, technically 4.
Well, I guess technically 4. So there was yet another Mikko mishap this game. At one point, he fell down, which, as we've said, he does quite frequently.
He's a goofy man.
His body slid into Connor Zary and took him out at the legs, and he fell down on the ice and grabbed his knee, which he has an injury history, and he's now out week to week.
I mean, maybe he is a secret assassin.
I think it's just Calamity Rantanen striking again.
Calamity Rantanen.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know. I've never met anybody. I mean, I haven't met him, but I've never witnessed anybody like more clumsy than I am. And he might take the cake.
He seems to be like that.
It gives clumsy people hope that we too can be professional athletes.
Yes.
So he's a good role model for us.
You don't need coordination. You can still make it happen.
Yeah, you can fall down all the time and still be great.
Yep.
Saturday, the Stars went to Seattle to play the Kraken.
Yeah.
who are, of course, one of your former teams.
One of my teams, yeah. I do have a Kraken hat because it's the best looking logo and colors.
Great logo.
Yeah, I was ready to be all on them this year. And yeah, they're no. Nope.
Well, good fashion aside, which is not just the logo, but also their coaching staff.
Yeah.
They're a great team, like just vibes wise. And their fans are fantastic. You know, we're still working on the consistency of the scoring.
Yeah.
And the defense.
And the defense, yeah. I will say Joey Decord's helmet, straight fire.
Good.
Looks so good.
Really good.
I do like him too, and I like Beniers.
Yeah.
I just wish they were better so I could cheer for them.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's not a requirement, but like...
I mean, yeah, you cheer for the Flyers.
Yeah, you got to have something else for me.
No, the Flyers are scrappy.
Yeah.
And like, it's easy to root for that.
Yeah.
Like when you're nice and bad, it can be a little tricky.
Yeah.
Although the Sharks are nice and not great, and I still love them. So...
Right. And they have a great logo, too.
They do. Maybe the Sharks are your team.
I got to maybe watch the coach interview. I've only seen him talk once.
Yeah.
I got to see what he's up to.
You can't have a West Coast team, though. They play too late.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Anyway, the Kraken did open the scoring a minute and a half into the game, but after that, it was all Dallas.
Yeah.
So we had a goal from Robo. We had a power play goal from Rope with assists from Rantanen and Robo. So again, that top line chemistry coming through. Then we had another power play goal from Mason Marchment, a goal from Wyatt, and then actually a pretty sexy empty net goal from Mikko Rantanen.
A sexy empty net.
Like, I know that doesn't sound possible, but he had like a defender on him and he did a little spinorama to shake him off and the guy fell down. Not Mikko falling down, the other guy falling down.
Right.
And he like got it in like bullseye from a little ways away and it looked really good.
Nice.
And, you know, he is still not like fully integrated with the Stars yet. But if he can consistently score empty net goals that look good, honestly, that's like half the paycheck right there for me.
Yeah, nobody on that team can score an empty net.
Yeah, and if they do, they're real ugly.
Right.
Except Asa Lindell.
Right. You like his work.
Yes, he's great. But yeah, no, it was really, really good. And he was hustling for it too, which I cannot fault his hustle.
No, he does seem to be starting to adapt and fitting in. I'm still, I don't know, out to lunch. I'm still
on the fence.
On the fence, yeah. But I
don't know how good you are at idioms.
I'm probably not that great, but yeah, no, things looked like they're doing a little better. So good. I don't have any reference for him, so I haven't seen much, but it seems like it's on the upward trajectory. So
I'm feeling better about him every game. He clearly thinks about the game really hard. He and Robo are both really into the iPad. Apparently they squabble over it.
Yeah, he's an iPad kid.
Yeah. Pete's like, yeah, no, Robo hogs the iPad. Miko's got to yank it out of his hand sometimes. I'm like, Coach Pete, it's my turn with the iPad.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
that's pretty funny to me, actually.
It is funny that Pete has to manage their screen time.
He's like, oh, Jesus. So no, that's really fun. Yeah, no, I think he really is picking up the system. I think he just has a good vision for where he needs to be. And I think he's just getting better every game. He's integrating with the team more.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's going to look the same that he did with Colorado because it's a different team. You know, he is a certain kind of player, and that kind of player isn't going to maybe look the same on Dallas as it did on the Avs. And that's okay.
Sense. Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, we don't have like McKinnon and Makar. Like, we don't have these like power skater guys.
Right.
Like Rope is pretty fast, but
right.
We don't have these guys who like skate real fast and like bowl people over like a McKinnon. So Rantanen's still going to do the things he does, which is like get into the spots. And he's like a playmaker.
Yep.
He'll still make goals. He's made a goal now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He's made 2 goals now. So, you know, but it just might not look exactly the same, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But every game it's looking better. It's growing. I feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, I thought they looked good against Seattle, but I feel like I could have probably played and it still would have looked good against Seattle. Their defense in the first period was an absolute train wreck.
It was not the best.
Oh my God. There's 2 guys. I don't know who they were, but like they seem to have a buddy system, and one would go to like defend a guy and he'd be like, oh, I'm coming with you. And then they'd pass it and score a goal. And I don't know what power play it was, but I said, oh, they're going to score here. And you were like, why would you say that out loud? And then 15 seconds later, they scored because I was watching the defense. Like, they're terrible.
That is true. I have lost some confidence in our power play again, but we did have 2 power play goals. But I do think that was more on the Kraken's defense than on our power play.
They definitely got talked to in between the first and the second, because they did bring a little bit more structure in the second. But that first period, my goodness.
Yeah.
They looked like the Sabres out there.
Well, there was no Calamity Rantanen in this game, but there was a little bit of violence.
Yeah.
From my murder baby, Leon Bischel.
You loved that.
I loved it. He had his first official NHL fight. It was not much of a fight, to be fair.
Not the best fight.
Leon Bischel is very big, and the guy he fought was not very big. They were kind of like at each other most of the night, and it was definitely a mutual combatant sort of deal.
Yep.
He fought Mikey Asamont. And Bish pretty much just ragdolled him. It was like the scene in Matilda where Trunchbull picks up the little girl by the braids and swings her around and then shot puts her.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the fight in general. And then it was over.
Yeah. It was, I don't know. That wasn't great, but
it wasn't the most impressive, but I enjoyed it. And so did Bischel, which is the most important thing.
He did seem happy.
They cut to him in the penalty box and he was kind of too big for the camera. But once they zoomed out a little bit, he was smiling and happy.
Yeah.
And if he's happy, I'm happy. Mm-hmm. And he has also officially cemented himself as the official hitter of the Dallas Stars.
I mean, yeah.
He's only played 30 games with the Stars this season, but he leads the team in hits with 126.
My God.
So yeah, that's, over 4 hits a game. Jamie Benn is in second place. He has 101 hits over 73 games.
Yeah, the hit per game average there is a little different, huh?
It is pretty good. And listen, I have been saying this for years. The Dallas Stars need more physicality.
They got it.
They got this. I mean, that's why we allegedly brought in Dumba. I don't see Dumba in the top 2 of hits.
Right.
So Bish. Bring in Bish. Oh, some genius on Reddit, who I forgot your username, but I love you, said that the Dumba Bischel D pairing should be called the Dumb Bitch Train.
Yeah.
Another train.
Another choo-choo.
Anyway, I loved that. It really made me laugh. It made my week better.
Yeah.
So awesome.
No, happy to see him break the ice on the fight, right?
Yeah, no, I anticipate more of those will be happening in the future.
I think so.
I'm excited for bigger people to want to fight him because I think that he will crush them. I think he was very much holding back.
I hope so, yeah. He needs to maybe calm down on the penalties.
He has been committing some penalties he doesn't need to be committing lately.
Yeah.
And that's just him being young and excitable, and he'll chill out. He's just like a puppy right now.
Yeah. So. But luckily their PK can handle him being a little out of control.
Absolutely. And better to figure all that out now than in the playoffs.
Right.
So there you go. All right. Well, thanks for doing this with me again.
No problem.
It.
Yeah.
So let's hope this one works.
Oh my God. Don't worry. I'm backing this up in 4 different places.
All right. Well, I appreciate you. And with that, I'm going to say that this is the end of regulation for this week's episode of Ice is Slippery. You can find us on Tumblr, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram at Ice is Slippery Pod. You can also email us at iceisslipperypod@gmail.com, where we would love to get suggestions for games and hear your hockey hot takes. Until next week, stay out of the penalty box.